So you have to find the three brightest lights there that make the triangle.
These ones.
And that's where the Milky Way is.
It's been quite extraordinary, actually. Yeah, the last week's been mad. The film seems to have gone down incredibly well, which I'm really happy about. People seem to have really fallen in love with Colin and Stanley all over again, which was definitely the plan. And you know, the story and the characters seem to really move people, which is you can't ask for more than that, really.
I'm on the edge.
I feel like you've got to be super romantic in real life because the way you write, it has to be the case.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm the complete opposite, and this is just me trying to sort of explore a different side of myself.
I love it. It's almost like your Sasha Fierce, like Beyonce's like alter ego. Hey, listen, what a far cry from like your debut back in 2004 when you had 10 grand, you this new filmmaker, you were at Biffi's, all these different things. Everyone was excited about you. This is incredible and super inspiring for so many other filmmakers to see you at this point now. How does it feel?
It's really kind, thank you. Yeah, I hope it is inspiring to people because, you know, I think what perhaps it shows is that if you just really work really hard and dedicate yourself to something and write about something you really are passionate about, then you know you can be very lucky, like I was. So it feels incredible, and yeah, and I worked really hard to sort of to get here, but. Yeah, it feels great, and the film is a much bigger piece than my first film, which was, you know, it's always going to be a challenge, really. But I loved it.
I think the time that we're living in right now with lockdown, with just mortality, everybody just talking and appreciating each other, a film like this comes at you in such a personal way. You can't help but think about people in your own family and life and appreciating it and what decisions you would make in the same position as Tusker and Sam.
I hope so, because it's a really personal film to me. And so, so I hope it does feel like that. And I think it is relevant right now because, you know, ultimately what the film is about is compassion and deep romantic love and how we look after each other when life becomes challenging in whatever way. And that sort of feels perhaps more important now than it did, you know, when I was writing it and when we were shooting it. And I think that's kind of an important thing because, you know, it's a story about how we take care of each other as humans. And I think we kind of need that right now.
All right. If you had one wish in the world, what would it be?
I wish this holiday wouldn't end.
And for you to have Stanley Tucci and Colin Firth, having one would have been enough, but you got both, which isn't bad at all. I know you probably would never have expected those two to be the two leading people that would have ended up starring in your film, but I understand that Stanley, you pitched it to Stanley, and he then pitched it to Colin, and then it all came together. Is this true?
That's basically true, yeah. We got the script to Stanley, and he really loved it, which was great. And then I met him, he watched my previous film, we got on really well. And he, at the end of the conversation, he said, "Look, you know, I really want to do this film. Can we talk about who might be my partner in it? Because obviously it's a very intimate film, and you know, a very deep film in that respect emotionally. So, and I always wanted to get two actors that knew each other, if I could, because that kind of sense of like shared love and shared history is kind of gold dust if you can get it right." And so he suggested that I speak to Colin Firth, and he said, you know, we're best. I didn't know this at the time, but they're best friends. And he said, you know, I can probably get the script to him if you would like me to. To which I said, yes, absolutely. And he said, good, because I gave it to him yesterday, and he loves it, and he wants to meet you.
And having them both on set, just even seeing them both in that camper van, you know, and the dog in the back. Did you have any moments where you were like, oh my God, I'm sending a picture to all my like FaceApp group, I don't know, like just all your WhatsApp group and say this is actually really happening? Because as a director, as a writer, to have two incredible actors who are not only they seem lovely but also incredibly acclaimed sitting in front of you in your film, did you have that moment?
I think, yeah, initially, definitely, you know, you hope that the script that you've written is good enough to for people as brilliant as that to collaborate with you on it. So yeah, initially definitely, but actually, do you know what? It very quickly becomes very, very normal in the best possible way, and it would probably be like weird if it was a constant, pinch myself thing, because we just got on really well and worked really hard, and after very quickly, it just became it just sort of felt like no one else could play those roles, which I think is always a good thing when you feel like that, because it means that something's going right. And I really felt like that quite early on, so it was nice.
Yeah. And they both are like so captivating when you watch them. They both hold their own. And it was really interesting because I read an interview and they were saying that they both initially were playing each other when you guys were reading the script, and then they decided together. It's kind of like cool to imagine how you work like that you sit with your actors and you all kind of decide together, because sometimes I think people think there's like, you decide, they do what they're told.
Well, I think usually it is a bit like that, but I mean, it was a very unusual process in that respect, because like they both loved each character, and I mean this, genuinely. They both absolutely adored each character, and for that reason, it was quite difficult initially to work out who would be a best fit for each one. So we kind of had this amazing thing where we just got together and read it together, like the three of us, and they swapped parts, and like you never get that as a director. It's a real privilege. And we settled on the way round that it is, and Colin talks a lot about actually when we did finally put it to bed, as it were. He was really sad not to be playing the other character, because I think but obviously very excited to be playing Sam, because they just sort of fell in love with them both.
So can you tell that it's gotten worse?
What was the toughest part of the film? Because when I'm watching it, I'm always thinking, how is this going to end? It's just, I can imagine as a writer, either you keep writing forever or you completely think I have to end. I don't know how you are as a writer, if that ending was difficult for you. But was there like a really tough part of this whole filmmaking process?
Yeah, I mean, it has the whole thing has its challenges, very different challenges. The writing part of it, I have to say, kind of came reasonably naturally in that respect. And I remember writing the ending of the film, or the last third of the film, and I was in this house in the middle of nowhere that I just sort of rented for a week to try and do some work, and I was writing it and just crying, like bawling my eyes out writing it, because it's a really personal film and I really loved the characters and I didn't want them to go through what they were going through. I mean, genuinely. So that was tough. And also making a film like this with those two guys on, in a van in the middle of the Lake District or the north of England, it's challenging. Road trip movies are quite difficult to make anyway, because you're constantly on the move and you're working in public spaces. So it was all a challenge. The weather, obviously. But it was all worth it in the end, I think.
Now, as most of you will know, I am slowly losing my ability to remember. And I definitely wouldn't be here if it weren't for this man next to me.
In the film, I noticed Sam, who Colin plays, does all the cooking. In real life, if you were going to have one of them cook a meal for you, Stanley or Colin, tell the truth.
Oh, hands down, Stanley. Oh, yeah, every day. I mean, no offense to Colin, he's a good cook, but Stanley is an exceptional cook. And actually, Stanley spent most of his evenings cooking for Colin. So, as I think Colin would say himself. So, yeah, Stanley's a great cook. He also makes a great cocktail, and those two things are useful on a film set.
Yeah, I agree. And Harry, there's a lot about music in the camper van when they're on their road trip, right? And they're deciding what they want to listen to. I'm thinking, if you could only have one of their playlists on a car journey, visiting somebody else in a different city, whose playlist are you taking, Stanley's or Colin's?
I reckon Colin's.
Ooh.
Yeah, I reckon Colin's. Yeah, he's got a really broad musical knowledge, and he's into some cool stuff, Colin. So I would say Colin.
A very wise man once said, "We will not starve for lack of wonders, but from lack of wonder."
and London Film Festival, you're on the lineup. Hopefully everyone's going to get to see this incredible film in the cinemas, I hope.
20th of November, that's the plan. Studio Canal are releasing it, which is very exciting. So hopefully it will be on a cinema screen near you then.
And what would you like to say to everyone right now that is itching to go back to the cinema, but maybe some of them are a little bit reluctant, because there's something quite different about watching something on the big screen, isn't there?
Yeah, I think what I'd say is that cinema needs you, and it needs you more than it ever has in a way. But also, I think it's important that people feel comfortable to do it, because that, you know, we're in strange times at the moment, and that's the most important thing. If you're comfortable and you feel safe to go, most of the cinemas, well, all of the cinemas are, you know, are dealing with the protocols incredibly well, and it's an enjoyable experience even now. So if you can, definitely go, I would say.
Harry, awesome to chat to you.
Thank you. See you soon. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
I want to be remembered for who I was, and not for who I'm about to become. It's not fair to you.
It's not about fair. It's about love.
No, Sam.
I want to see this through with you to the end. Tusker!